For those of you who are doing the half circle landscape weave, our drawing of our lines is going to be a little bit different. Instead of dividing our pieces in half, so we have our two lines in both from center to center, our focal piece of the sun is actually going to be considered our center. So we're going to want to be drawing a circle that represents the sun, and then rays or rainbows on either side of our fusibles. Now, if that makes you panic about the idea of having to draw, in your kit, I did include a couple of templates so that for your fabric number 1 with your rays, and your fabric number 2 with your rainbows. So the only thing I will say is that in the printing of this, the circles did not line up completely. So when you draw these onto your fusible, you can just lay your fusible with the paper side up, bumpy side down, on top of these little templates, and then take a Sharpie or a pen that's something that's going to show up, and draw these lines. Again, don't be too stressed about exactly being on the lines, because this is all for reference. This is not the exact thing. So here I have my fusible, then I've drawn my rays, and now I want to draw my rainbows, but I want those circles to match up. So I am going to take my other piece of fusible, lay it on top of the one that I just drew with the rays, and redraw that half circle onto this one, so that when I move over to my template, I can line that circle up with the template. So you can see it's coming off the page a little bit there, but that's fine. I can still use these and just continue it down further than the printed paper, where those lines should have been printed. So in the end, you'll have a piece of fusible that has lines that look as if there's a rainbow kind of going in and off of your piece. So you have one piece of fusible with rays and one piece of fusible with rainbows. The circles are going to match up, and that's the most important part for our half circle weave. If you have already fused your fusible onto your fabric, or say you're doing your own project and not working off of a kit, so you don't have the templates, and you're stressed about drawing a circle, look for things in your house that maybe would work for the size. This would be a pretty big sun. This will be a slightly smaller one, but I think it will work. Now, if you're drawing on the fusible, you're going to remember that if you'd like your sun to be over in the right-hand side of your scene, you want to draw it in your fusible on the left. Because with fusible, we're reversing things, you're going to have the reversed image. Now, that may not stress you out, but if you really want your sun to be in a particular point of the sky, make sure that you're drawing it opposite from what you want. So here, I'm going to draw, and I want the sun to be over on the right-hand side, so I'm going to draw my circle over here on the left. And so I'll just decide about halfway on this little bit of ribbon, give myself a little template for a half circle, and there we go. Now again, I'm going to want to agree with this circle. So when I have my other piece, I'm going to make sure that that circle is the same size. And for the rays, I can just, you know, if I want to measure, I can, or I can just give myself little tick marks of where I think I want my rays to come out with, or I need not worry about it at all, and then just start drawing rays that radiate out from that little half circle. Some of them, of course, are going to be very long and headed off into big distances. This one obviously is not really connected here, but I'm going to still give myself a little line. Remember, this is all approximations, not to stress about. And I'll do the same thing where I'll draw my rainbows. And again, if this is something you really want it to be very evenly matched, you can lay this down and give your little tick marks on even distances so that you know where to stop and start. And that's a fine thing to do. Or you can have some fun and play with maybe alternating your distances between your razor rainbows. So instead of having them all be evenly matched, maybe this next one I draw is actually much wider, and maybe it continues to get wider as I go out. All personal preference.